Let me ask you a question. What is the best way to spread a message? Let you think about it a bit. It's through creativity. One of the ways that we have shared stories and messages throughout all of time is through creativity. Now, why do I have this Hello Kitty in a Spider-Man outfit? What is the point of this? This is my Build-A-Bear from when I was a kid. I got Hello Kitty one because I love Hello Kitty, and I also got her a Cinderella outfit, but I also got her a Spider-Man outfit because Spider-Man was one of the biggest parts of my childhood, and so was superheroes. And I think a lot of people don't think about how much fictional stories can impact people going through difficult times. And I think a lot of the actors or celebrities themselves don't even give this enough thought when it comes to the impact they have. Or they try not to think about it. I'm not sure which they do, but I'm making this video because I want to talk about how much fiction has helped me get through the tough times. And I've gone into a little bit about my past and how I use fiction as an escape, but I'm not going to really go into that much detail over it, because the main thing I want to focus on in this video is just how these characters are able to help people through these times and how they impact people so much. And I never really had a celebrity crush, and I still don't. I just get very obsessive over certain people because their characters meant so much to me when I was lost or didn't really have anyone to talk to. So let's first begin with how fiction can impact so many people. And I want to start with the Spider-Man story. Because when you think of Spider-Man, he's one of the most well-known superheroes in the entire world. And he'll probably remain that way for many years into the future, because Spider-Man's story has been retold so many times, it's actually unreal. And everyone still knows who he is. Everyone knows the man who has the powers of a spider. And for me specifically, I watched the Tobey Maguire movies growing up. But Marvel and all the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies and stuff, they had such a big impact on me growing up, because it was the one thing I could fall back on when it came to hanging out with my friends. We would just go to the movies, or when it came to just escaping from a rough time I was going through. And it always reminded me that specifically Spider-Man, one of the main messages from his story is that revenge isn't the answer, and you can still give people second chances. And I use that in my life a lot, because it's part of the reasons why I kept giving my dad a second chance, and it's working out now because he finally got the help he needs. But without that, I probably would have opted for revenge rather than trying to fix things and patch things up with our relationship. And when it comes to family, these stories really do a great job of showing familial relationships, or at least to me. And it's always meant a lot to me, because in fiction and on YouTube, I've always had a person I could look up to as a father figure, sort of as a fill-in for my own dad in times when he wasn't there when I needed him. And this is sort of difficult to talk about, but also I think really inspiring, because it shows there is something really great about fiction, that it can help real people in real life when they're going through such difficulties. And I don't think the people that work on these things Like, it takes a village to create a film or a TV show. You have to have the actors, costume designers, special effects, writers, directors. You have to have the whole shebang. And most people only think of the actors when they think of these things, but I've always also been fascinated by some specific special effects people or animators or a musical artist that work on the movie or directors, because I know it takes a lot of people to make this work, and I value all of them because of how hard they work on this. But of course you're only going to see the faces of the actors when it comes to the films. But it doesn't get rid of the effort that the others put in, and I want the people who work on these things to realize that whenever they're going through a tough time themselves, because you're all people too, you need to think about how much your work has impacted another person. And this could just go beyond fiction and like the filming industry as well. Like, the work you put every day for another person, you don't know how much just a little bit of kindness could mean in their lives. And sorry, I don't know why I'm crying over this, but it's very powerful to me. When I was going through rough times, not only in fiction, but the interactions I saw in real life where people would help us or just show a bit of kindness to us, it meant so much, because when someone's struggling, you really don't know how much they're going through. You really don't know how bad it is for them or how difficult it's going to be, or if they'll ever be able to get out of their difficulty. So I want to give a few examples of how the kindness portrayed in fiction inspired me, and how the kindness in real life has also been impactful for me, and why your work matters even if you don't think it does in the moment. When I was little, there were a lot of things that happened really. When we were going through difficulties with my dad, there was always someone who was just being nice for a random reason on some random day. Like paying for meals behind them, or we went to Chipotle once and these police officers were getting lunch there. And they saw us talking about how we were trying to go for cheaper options of food because we didn't have that much money, and we were trying to make it work for my mom so she could pay for this like once in a while out to eat experience we had. And they just decided to step in and buy our whole meal for us so we could get what we wanted. And that means so much. And you might think that the little things don't matter, but they do. And you might think that you're not important in the grand scheme of things, but you really are. Because I've seen it firsthand, and that's why I still am kind of naive when it comes to kindness, I guess. But I don't think it's naive, really. I think that's a misconception, because people who are kind and people who do something kind for you, in the grand scheme of things, most of the time they're just doing it to be nice. And when there's people being kind and supportive to these characters in fiction, giving them these chances and inspiring them to work towards their goals and giving them wisdom and advice, there are people who do that in real life all the time, so it's just very, very important. Without all the fiction I grew up with and those figures online and those celebrities, I don't know where I would be now. Because for the longest time, I didn't think that I would make it past 18. And I still don't know if I will, but I'm going to try my best. And I didn't think that I would be able to grow up every year. I didn't think I would be able to grow up past that year, because I had this feeling every year that something was going to happen. And it was just because of our circumstances that I always felt like there was no time I could take a break, and I had to just keep on fighting no matter what. But those experiences in fiction encouraged me to keep on fighting. Because even though I had no faith, I had that. I had the belief that if I kept going, then I could get out of these circumstances and I can become stronger for enduring them. So, I just want you to know creativity is the best way to spread a message. And when you make a series or a piece of art or a piece of work that you put your time and effort into, it matters to someone and it can make a difference. And it will always matter because this figure, let's go back to this. Spider-Man, when people think of Spider-Man, they think of hope and they think of kindness and they think of encouragement and they think of keeping on going because he's such a powerful figure in media because he's a superhero. And that in it of itself will never go away. So even though the superheroes themselves aren't real and that these vigilantes or these fictitious worlds can't exist, the symbols from them will remain cemented throughout time, and that will continue to help people. So even though he's not real, he can still help people by just existing. And that's what I want to really emphasize from this video. So your work matters, no matter how small. Thanks for watching.